Okay, so here we are again for more wonderful interviewing with Graham. It's September 19th, 2009, right?
I'm not sure if it's the 20th.
It's close. So we are, a few
2000?
months, we were here in July and we're back again.
Mhm.
Baby's coming in 6 weeks, so Graham's going to be a great-grandmother. And we are going to continue to do some wonderful interviewing. So I think we're going to get started talking about Nick's death. And we want to talk about where the girls, how old the girls were, and what the girls were doing, and what you were doing, and how that changed your life.
And feel free to interrupt me if I think of something that's out of sync in terms of year or date, or I kind of skip around, you know.
That's good. We like your stories.
I can't think clearly in one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to move over
I get
here.
lost. So anyway, we're now approaching November 15th, 2009, and Nick died on November 15th, 1969. That means that it's 40 years since I've been a widow, and it makes it hard to realize that a lot of things that we could have done together, we never got to do. And now that I'm retired, he would be retired, and we would be maybe doing some things together, like having cruises, or I think he said he traveled so much for his work. We figured it out that he had been around the world 7 times, from one factory to another, some in India, some in Japan, some in Mexico, London, and on the way back from Germany, he'd stop in Lebanon. So he said once he settled down, he might consider going on a cruise. I don't think he would have liked one, but anyway, that was what happened. On the day he died, he had just gotten back from a trip to Spain, and while he was in Spain, a place called Tudela, Roman Haas had a factory there. He met a very nice couple. Turns out they lived in the Philadelphia area, so he invited them to come for dinner. And he was getting excited about cooking things and being in the kitchen.
Did he like to cook?
He loved to cook, and he tried a lot of things, but his older brother, Mitchell, also loved to cook because they loved to eat, and he thought it would be fun to cook. So he had these wonderful lasagnas. He'd made several. So we were making lasagna the night before, and a big whopping lasagna, which was going to be amazing. So of course we left all the dishes in the sink, I'm sure. He never washed a dish. But so he had a heart attack, had gotten up and was dressed and was going to Abington Hospital for a chest x-ray, which was a routine thing because his heart was, he'd had heart trouble.
What caused his heart trouble when he was little again?
He had rheumatic fever and a lot of childhood diseases because his mother was afraid of hospitals, doctors, needles, so they never had any inoculations.
Right.
So they had scarlet fever. He had rheumatic fever, that's what they said caused a heart murmur. So anyway, he went to the car and he forgot something, came rushing back into the house, and he went into the bedroom and had a heart attack and fell over the bed. The irony of it was that he had an oxygen tank, but nobody had ever showed us how to use it. That was sitting by the bed. If I could have given him oxygen, maybe I could have saved him, but he died in an instant. So I didn't know what to do. I called the doctor, who was out of town, and his stand-in came over in about an hour and pronounced him dead.
Oh my gosh.
And I laid on the bed with him and could feel his body losing heat. And I knew there was no hope. Anyway, the doctor came and pronounced him dead. And then I had to call the undertaker. So, in the meantime, I used to get excited because he'd get calls in the middle of the night. Roman Haas was having a tragic thing happen, and their million-ton batch of something was going sour. Nick, what do we do? Please tell us what to do. So he'd get up and go running to the kitchen, and I was afraid he'd fall over something and get hurt, so we made arrangements to have an extension phone put in. On November 15th, they came to put in the phone.
Oh my gosh.
It came to the front door. We're going to have the extension by the bed. I said, well, we don't need it anymore. I think maybe I did let them put it in.
But he was still in the house then. I mean, they wouldn't be able to do it then. He was still in the house, right?
No, and I think by then the hearse had gone, but my neighbor saw that, and so Stan, his friend from the neighborhood in the Roman Haas, came and told him what had happened. He went next door to tell the Dietrichs, and they came over. So everybody was, of course, in a state of shock, especially me. So then what do? I have to get in touch with Ginny and Shelley were still in bed. It was Saturday morning, so they were going to sleep late. So I had to wake them up, tell them their dad had died. So that was pretty tough. And Shelley to this day thinks that she missed out on a lot of his life because she was only 15. So that was a pretty awful awakening. Anyway, then Gloria was in Washington, D.C. And she went with a friend named Lily from work at the Naval Air Station. And Lily was a free spirit. She was a doozy. She had an MG convertible, this little car, and they were going to drive to Washington, with the breeze blowing in their hair. So Nick had words with Gloria the night before, didn't want her to go. The main reason was it was a demonstration. They were going to march on the Capitol. I think against the war.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Probably.
Not only that, but Gail was down there too, meeting her boyfriend Alan, whom Nick hated. So I don't know if Jürgen was involved in that. If he was at the march.
I think he was.
But I had to get in touch with them. I had no idea in this crowd of people where I was. But she had left a number of some guy that she worked for at the Naval Air Station, so I got in touch with him. And then, of course, they all came home right away, absolutely devastated. And then another thing that happened that day was I had gotten very friendly with a woman who lives in Richboro in an old house. She was the chairman of the pecan sale for Smith College, so we were all involved. We sold pecans every fall. So she came to the door. She had a case of pecans for me to sell. And I said, well, we have a death in the family. I can't do it right now. So the day was in a turmoil. I had to call my mother, tell her what had happened. And of course, she had never been on an airplane in her life. So bless her heart, she got on a plane and flew down. I don't remember who got her or how she did it, but she came, and she was here for the rest of the...
She flew from Buffalo to Philadelphia?
And Brant. Well, then I had to call the Brooklyn people. So Nick and Mitchell and Sally and Nejla, and I think maybe Alfred, they got in a big... I think Mitchell probably had a big car and drove right out. So I think Mitchell wanted to take charge, or he wanted to help me. So we arranged to have a viewing at in the local funeral home, which we knew, and then Mitchell arranged for a viewing at the Lebanese funeral home in Brooklyn. So we had that. And my mother stayed in the house while I went with the girls. You don't remember hearing your mother tell about that?
Did she go to the viewing?
Oh yeah, we all did. And Jürgen was there, and it was at a funeral home, and Gloria was so broken up that Jürgen sat with his arm around her at the funeral parlor, and Mitchell thought that was scandalous. Oh my goodness, she's supposed to be in mourning. So he just didn't get the whole scene.
Mitchell or my dad?
Mitchell. Oh, your dad was trying to be comforting. He was
Yeah.
comforting.
Yeah.
And he was doing the right thing, but Mitchell was pretty hard-headed and traditional. And he basically didn't like Jürgen in the first place because Nick had said he didn't want Gloria to marry him.
Right.
So he knew that part of the story, so I guess he thought, well, he has no business being here. But anyway, we had the viewing, and it was, I guess, a couple of nights. And then we went to the cemetery, which is on almost to Long Island, and that's a ghastly trip. You go through a lot of traffic. And every time we stopped in traffic, the hearse would stop, and we were in the lead car, and we'd run into the hearse. And I'm thinking, oh, poor Nick, he's getting such a rough ride. Oh, it's terrible. But anyway, the tradition in the Lebanese community is after the funeral, you have a dinner. It's called the Feast of something. And it's traditional. You have a meal. So Mitchell arranged for a meal at the Hotel Gregory, and it was extremely lovely. It was a filet mignon or something nice. And then of course, Mitchell liked to drink, and George, they all did. So then, I think can you give me the phone?